Welcome to Mando and Friends. My name is Mando Fresko. Today, I am here with another friend of mine, a world-renowned chef, the man behind the famous Kogi trucks. Ladies and gentlemen, Roy Choi is in here. Roy, what's up, man? How are you?
It's been a long time coming. You know, we've been talking a lot on Instagram and stuff, and I'm glad to be here, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You know what? You may not remember this. There was a wine and like, what is it? Wine LA or something they used to have in downtown LA.
The one right there by the Walt Disney.
Yep.
Yeah, thing. Like they blocked the whole street. Yeah, it was a wine and food festival.
So we initially met there, and man, I want to say, Roy, this must have been, maybe like 2012
I think it was 2012,
like that.
Yeah.
And then just throughout the years, we've connected at different places and events.
Yep.
The last time I saw you, you had the Hot Cheetos pop-up.
That's right. That was for 3 days. Yeah, that's an old part of myself. I was trying to do those things because like I'm trying to move beyond that stuff now, but like I was doing those things like the hot Cheeto pop. I just wanted to have some fun and kind of take this snack that's so like ubiquitous in our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And just like kind of put like a healthy twist on them. But yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, man. And now, you know, you got Broken Bread. You have your brand new show, which we'll get to in a little bit, man.
Which is trippy because that the whole core and value and concept of like Broken Bread is attacking those type of snacks as well, you know, that are infiltrating our hoods, you know. So it's cool. I you know, it's like all over.
It's growth.
It's growth.
Yeah.
It's growth.
Yeah, man. So I want to get into, you have said food is all about connection.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, you know, I think that food is the place where we can truly come together and let down our guards. No matter where you're from, no matter what your perspectives are, no matter your social, economic, whatever area you come from in life, I think it's the place where we can all really kind of be kind to each other and open our hearts and let down our guards and be with each other. You see that throughout the world.
Yeah.
It's just we here sometimes in the United States don't value food as much as other parts of the world do, you know, because, you know, America is built around this capitalist system of just go, 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 push, push, push.
Yeah.
The thing that got pushed all the way to the bottom is food, you know, like think about like just how we look at food sometimes, you know, as a country and how we value it. We make it sometimes the least valuable thing in our life. Fast, go, 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 eat in your car, move.
Yep.
Microwave, frozen dinners, fast food. Everything has to be immediate right now. And it's almost not just that, but it's also the nuance behind it. I'm just eating to fill my stomach.
Yeah.
I'm just eating to survive. I'm just eating to get to the next thing. I'm not eating to enjoy and to slow down and to stop and to appreciate and to nourish. And those are really, really different perspectives towards like around the world in other countries, they just sometimes stop, you know, like for like 3 hours and just eat, you know, whether that's Spain or France or Thailand or Singapore, Korea, Ecuador, Argentina, Mexico, you know, they just stop, you know. Things are more important than just the grind, you know. So that's why I think we are a young country in here, and, you know, we've had a very checkered past on how this country was built, and we're constantly pushing the envelope of innovation, which is great. But I think now that talking about growth, I think that collectively we can now confront and start to grow as a society. We've accomplished all the other stuff, you know, Like we're the leaders in creativity, we're the leaders in business, we're the leaders in
tech and all
tech,
that. Yeah.
everything, you know? Like we know we can do, you know, but like let's just take a moment and find that balance to where we put value in food again, especially within our educational systems, raising our public school systems, you know, putting accessible fruit and organics and nutritious food throughout our neighborhoods, you know, and make it cool, you know,
Yeah.
like, I want to see, because on one end it is cool right now, right? It's like food is hotter than sneakers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's harder to get the food or into a restaurant than it is to get a sneaker now. And the way that the culture is around sneakers is kind of around food. Like wherever you go, if you and I travel, the first thing we're going to do when we land in a city, what we're going to do? We're going to look at what the top restaurants are,
Yeah.
where we want to go eat, where we want to go grub. That wasn't the case. Like if you and I were kicking it 15, 20 years ago, you know, at the same stage of our life right now, that wouldn't be the first on our list, I don't think, you know.
Right.
We would have been digging for something, you know, whether it was records, music, shoes, drugs, whatever. It would have been a totally different thing. Food would have been an afterthought.
Right.
But now food is number one.
Do you know DJ Vice?
Yeah.
So
I did his taco thing.
So
shout out Vice.
yeah,
What's
yeah.
up,
Shout out to my brother Vice. So
Yeah.
Vice, I think he was our second guest this season. And Vice, that's what we talked about. We're foodies. I'm a foodie myself, and I love to cook as well. He was talking about how he goes through Instagram and Yelp, and he just favorites a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Even before, if there's a city that he hasn't been to, he'll favorite stuff. So eventually, when he shows up to a certain city, he already knows where he's gonna go eat.
Oh, because he's curated
Yeah.
his own list.
Yeah.
That's amazing. You know, that's one, we've taken that first step. So I don't want to be only negative. I think that we're progressing, and I think that's one big step we've made in the last, you know, again, let's just take 20 years, right?
Yeah.
From the 2000s to now. I think we've progressed a lot where food has moved itself up to be a foodie, like you say, right? To be something that is cool, you know, something that people seek, you know, because seeking something always defines culture, right? It always defines like art and stuff. So people are seeking it out. So that's one thing. And I think that's great, man. And now I think it's time for the next stage. You know, that's been going on, that's been building for 20 years again, but now it's the next stage, like where we start to make food valuable, you know. That's what Broken Bread and everything that I represent is about, like to move it from just experience to weave it into like our value systems.
Yeah.
You know, like when you see stuff like that's unacceptable, you know, look into why there's no grocery stores and produce within our neighborhoods, you know, and why do we constantly why do our heroes are like we opened up with the Cheetos thing, and I'm growing and I'm trying to grow. But why do our heroes, our rap stars, our musicians, our favorite artists, they're I know they got to get the bag,
Right.
but they're perpetuating all of that fast food to their fans and
For
their
sure.
followers, you know, because all I see is them repping things like McDonald's and stuff like that. So what if those rappers, those stars, those artists represented organic produce? You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Like
right.
that's what I guess where I'm leading towards,
Yeah.
you know? That's the next stage. You know, that's what it's about. Because they're going to be cool no matter what. And their fans are going to follow them no matter what.
For
Whether
sure.
it's a Bad Bunny or, you know, whoever.
Or Saweetie.
Or
right?
Saweetie or, you know, Travis Scott,
Right.
you know, pre Astro World. But yeah, it's just they're going to be cool no matter what. Fans are going to listen to them no matter what.
Right.
Put your brand, leverage your brand on the line to do something that's right for the people, you know.
Roy, as someone who
Mm-hmm.
who loves to cook, and you guys can co-sign, right?
Yeah.
I'm always talking about food. I'm always talking about like I send my team pictures of what I'm cooking.
Oh,
We're like, yo, check out what I got on the grill. So you mentioned organic, right? If I'm buying cilantro or organic cilantro, is there a difference?
there is. But I don't want to scare people that are just entering into buying, let's say, cilantro, right?
Yeah.
The first step is just buy the cilantro over the candy, or over
Some chips or something.
the chips,
Yeah.
or over the salsa verde flavored chips, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first step. So I don't want to stop anyone from that. But then once you get to the kind of commodity cilantro, you're going to enter another world for yourself, right? You're going to enter, your palate is going to grow. You're going to feel that love that you feel cooking, right? It's going to be something that becomes very invigorating. Then you can move to organics. And the difference why is once you cross that bridge to the next bridge, is there is a problem with GMOs and monoculture farming within this country. The controlling of seeds, which is, it doesn't sound like something that is that detrimental, but it is. Because if right now there are only about 4 to 5 corporations, large corporations that own almost half the seeds within the world. If that becomes 5 corporations that own 100% of the seeds in the world, they will control everything that we eat, and they can modify and engineer those things to make us do whatever they want us to do. It's like the conspiracy theory of fluoride. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a dangerous thing. So, but not only to ourselves as humans, but also to the planet, because the way that commodity monoculture GMO cilantro is grown is usually grown with chemicals. It's usually the seeds are modified, the soil is modified and polluted in a way that cilantro will produce the exact same quantity and the exact same amount every year, right? And it will be durable. It can last through anything. There's no thought of growing it to make your life better, to make your mouth sing, or to give you more nutrients in your body. It's only grown to make sure that there's as much profit and yield as possible, and that it will last through a snowstorm, a heat wave, a hailstorm, or anything.
Wow.
That's dangerous, right? So the next stage is organics, where things are supposed to grow wild. It's supposed to be regenerative soil. We're not supposed to poison the soil in order to grow the fruit. And that's what we're trying to get back to. So there's a whole community of seed protectors and farmers that are fighting every day. That's why it's really important to support local farmers markets. We got the internet, right?
Yeah.
So to research seed protectors, to read the back of labels, to ask questions. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to, these are good questions in life. Just take a look at what's behind there. And, again, what I like to do is not guilt people into things or make absolute decisions. You don't have to go from, eating chips and sodas to be like, okay, I'm a disappointment in life, and then I have to change everything overnight. Nah, take steps, little steps, and then educate your own self. Like, turn the box around, read it, and just ask yourself, look in the mirror, ask yourself, if I can't understand, 80% of what's being written here, how does that make me feel? And if you don't get it, then you don't get it. That's whatever, and maybe you'll get to the place where you do, but just start to question things, start to look at things. That's the basis of punk rock. That's the basis of early hip hop. Like, it's question things. Question what's being given to you. Because sometimes what's being given to you is not in your best interest.
True.
Sorry, man. That started with a question about cilantro. sorry about that, y'all.
Roy,
Shit, sorry.
I just wanted to know if I should buy organic.
I know, yeah. You're just like, yo,
or regular cilantro.
Yeah, sorry, that's my bad.
No, I love that though. I love that, and you know, it makes me and you know just the guys in here already a light bulb turns on.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like organic. Farmers market may be a little pricier than just.
Yeah.
But if there's health benefits and it also benefits, I'm assuming like a smaller group.
Yeah, and it's not that much of a difference, especially when you're dealing with like fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. It's like cents difference, right? And but the reward is tenfold. How you feel, what it does. Just think of it like you're supporting independent artists,
Right.
coming up, right?
Right.
You know, you're supporting art, creativity, struggling artists, young artists that are trying to make it. This is what you're doing by buying organic, by buying from regional, local farmers markets. You're supporting independent art. You know,
Right. And if it's like farmers market, it's like direct to consumer.
direct to consumer. Then that becomes like fan support, right? Then just again with the music metaphor, because I know your music. It then it becomes like you supporting directly your favorite young artists or independent artists directly to their website, and there's no middleman, and the money's going directly to them for them to be able to give you the music and the art that you want,
Right.
You know? And that's really that same through line with buying at the farmer's market or buying organic. You know,
It's like buying beats.
it's like buying beats. Yeah.
Get that? You guys get that metaphor there? I'll pause for that. All right, Roy, I want to get a little into you growing up and up until where you're at now. I want to take it back. I know, you know, in your early 20s, you got into some trouble.
Yeah.
And I think it's really inspiring to see your journey, your growth, throughout your life, your career, your everything that you've done. How does one a kid, you know, at 20 years old, go from that to, you know, being a successful entrepreneur, chef? What do you think at that point when things change for you? What do you think impacted you the most to make that switch, to make that change?
Well, I think one part of it, a funny part is I just can't believe I'm still alive right now. You know, I've been around a minute, and I ain't gonna reveal my age. You can look that up on the internet. but I've been around a minute. You know, I've been around. I've seen different decades and different generations, and I'm just amazed I'm still here and I'm still creating and I'm still doing things. And through those years, again, we're going back to the word growth. It's about growing. You know, you have to be willing. You can't be embarrassed or ashamed of who you were at a certain point in life, because you just didn't know any better. And sometimes you're just going through and you're growing, you're doing things. But I think through those journeys, you have to be open to certain signals. You know, I believe in the universe type stuff. You know, like I believe in signals and moments and breakthroughs. You know, and the change happens when you can see those things and accept them and absorb them and do something about it. You know, it's really hard sometimes because the safe place is to be the same. You know what I mean? Like to dress the same as you did back when you were 20, to talk the same, to be as tough as you were or whatever. You know, it's like the scary thing is to grow. You know, but what I can, if it is advice, is it may feel scary, but that's when it feels scary. That's when it is right. That's when it feels right. You know, and so when you get to those places where it feels scary, like you're going away from your safe space, and that if you're being constantly, because the reason why I say this is because if these little transitional moments, if you're thinking about it and feeling it and contemplating it, and if it's tapping you on the shoulder, that means that's the time. Maybe a year before or 2 years before, you're not even thinking about it. If you're wilding out doing crazy,
Right.
or you're being stupid and ignorant and whatever, or you're just not lazy, or you're just not getting up off your ass or whatever, you're not even thinking about that. That transitional moment is not even there yet, right? So you don't even have to worry about those stages, It's when those things start to knock on your door, your spiritual door. Then if you don't answer it and you don't acknowledge it, then that's where you're stunting your growth, right? But the in-between stages are going to happen regardless. So it's just acknowledge and be open to those moments where you actually realize, like, let's say it's a lazy moment, because I've been in the lazy moment. I've been a couch potato for years. I've been a stoner since I was 15 years old, and so I understand. I empathize with you. I understand wherever you are in life, whatever place you are. I've been an addict. I've been a gambler. I've been a fuck up. I've been everything, So if you're lying on the couch and you haven't moved, and it's like literally the only thing you have to do is turn on that light, and you can't even do that. But then if there's one day where you actually think about it and it actually says to you, like, it's time, Roy, or it's time, Mando, to turn on that light.
Yeah.
No more. It's time. Every other day is just I ain't gonna do it. But if there's one day where it feels like it's like, stop f***ing around, that's the moment. Seize that.
It's like your soul speaking to you.
Your soul speaking to you. It's the world speaking. It's that whole carpe diem stuff. It's like, seize that, then go to the next thing. And those for me have been those transitional moments of growth. Like, I've gone through these. Gambling is one example. I spent 4 years of my life really spiraling down a hill, on losing everything, burning every bridge around me, through gambling and alcohol and just crazy stuff here in LA, clubbing, just fighting on the streets, being stupid, being silly. And there was one day I woke up and everything hit me, and I was like, it's over, and I've been able to kind of like shift on a dime and acknowledge when things are talking to me, so I just got up, and that's when I started to look at cooking as a profession.
Man.
Then that changed. And then I'm not, I don't want to bore you with every stage, but then it changed my life completely, and I went back, and through that I was able to, repair some of the bridges that I burned, pay back some of the debts that I owed, and then had a whole career in cooking and built a life. And then I lost it all again in 2008 in the real estate crisis crash, and that's when Kogi started. Again, I listened to that transitional moment. Instead of going out and getting another job, I went out to the streets to sell tacos, and I just opened myself up to what was happening. And instead of just saying, "Oh man, I'm better than this," or I'm a professional chef, or I'm just doing this to get by till I get my next job, I realized that this was the moment everything's going to change again, and so just being open to those things,
Yeah, as a Korean American making tacos, were people telling you like, "No, man, why are you selling tacos at any
Nah,
given
I felt
time?"
like it was my destiny. I've been that kid my whole life, man. I've been low riding on Whittier Boulevard since I was 16.
Yeah.
I've always been the only chino for miles. Miles. Like that's just been something. That's why I feel like it was my destiny. It just took a long time to get there. It took a whole living life to get to that place, but I had always been that person throughout my teenage years, throughout my childhood, throughout my 20s, 30s, whatever. It's like, again, I was always, I was Chino on the block. I was always that dude. I was, Whittier Boulevard, cruising Whittier's on the weekend, I was part of lowrider clubs in Norwalk. I was always at the park. I was at car shows in Linwood and Southgate. And,
Yeah.
I always been a part of it, man. I was always at the DJ shows at the sports arena and the convention center and like different parties, house parties. So I always been around it, and it's always been a part of who I am. And that eventually became what Kogi became,
Right.
where it's not Mexican, it's not Korean, it's not this, it's not that. It just became LA,
Yeah.
because
it feels
like
LA.
sometimes a lot of people that don't really know, they wanna define things, but for all of you that do grow up in kind of the in between, I grew up in an era where we were crews, so it didn't matter whether you're Mexican, Puerto Rican, Black, Korean, whatever. We were just homies, we were just friends, and you just go out and just have fun, try to hook up, whatever,
Right.
and we just are ourselves, and that's how it is with Kogi. It's like we're not one thing or the other. We're just a product of this, our environment.
Do you feel like there was a connection between the lowrider shows, being having fun in the streets, right? Like parking lot pimping, all that stuff that at one point you were doing, having fun with your friends, and Kogi trucks.
Those are all definitely the foundational cornerstones and ingredients to eventually what Kogi became. Because once the taco truck and Kogi and the opportunity to cook tacos, because I had always loved tacos, eating tacos, and I had always been around it, again, at car shows, in my lowrider club, at my friends' homes. I'd always been exposed to it naturally, you know what I mean? So it's just like something very fluid in my life. But when I was in that opportunity to actually make it me making tacos in my business, all those things were the ingredients that put me in that position. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have to go to the library and research like what it feels like to make carne asada, or what it feels like to touch masa, or
You
what
lived it.
I lived it. And so it became a natural expression. I finally had my own, my own expression. The thing I struggled with personally in life was I never had my a traditional like art form to express myself. I was never really. I've been, a lot of my friends had it. My friends were rapping really early. They were DJing really early. They were b-boying really early. They were drawing. They were tagging. They were doing all the traditional forms.
Yeah.
I just never really had. I could dance a little bit. I couldn't sing at all. I couldn't draw.
All right, let's see, man.
Let's see. Yeah. But
Do a windmill. Do a windmill.
Yeah. I could maybe 20 years ago, but I just never had it, and so food was my thing. It just took a long time. It's weird. On one end, I wish it didn't take so long. But on the other end, I'm okay that it took this long.
Yeah. Was there a transition of what we know of the Kogi taco, what it is now? Like, was there a transitional phase that taco went through? Did you ever think, maybe I should sell some, pastor or some carnitas or something, and then it became, no, let me do like a Korean style steak on a tortilla. I mean,
no, the taco is kind of as it was from the moment we put it out.
From the moment it was Kogi.
Yeah, it was like, we hit it. It was a swish from the first shot. But I have to give a shout out to my team, my crew, and my team and my partners, because it all started with this idea. It was like my partner had this idea. He was drunk. He had this idea to put Korean barbecue in a taco because he came from the club. He went to the truck. He ate it. He's like, man, what if we put Korean barbecue in this? Then he called me. I had just got fired from my job. So it was like perfect. Everything was like perfect timing. And then he's like, listen, he bought me coffee. He's like, listen, Roy, like, I had this idea. Let's put Korean barbecue in a taco. We're going to park in front of the club. You probably remember all the clubs in the last 20. This was 2008. So the club we parked in front of was called Green Door and Cabana on Ivar, right there next to the Cinerama Dome. And he's like, listen, we're gonna go there. We're gonna roll up around midnight. As soon as they get out at 2 a.m., we're gonna kill it. Our sights were real low. Like our killing it meant making like $500.
Yeah.
That was killing it, but it was like we were possessed by it. So he told me that. I was like, okay, I thought about it. I called him back the next day. I was like, let's do it. And as soon as I let myself open up to that, everything just started to flow. It was like a movie. It was like all the images of my life, all the experiences, all the friendships, all the everything just finally had a place to kind of like go into. And I wasn't even thinking, man. It was, like in sports, they call it the zone. Right?
Yeah.
Like it was just that. Went to the produce market, went here, went there, started marinating. I start to see the taco in my mind. I was like, okay, it's going to be this. The tortilla is going to be this big. It's going to feel like carne asada. It's going to look like carne asada. It's going to have all the elements of a real LA street taco. But when you bite it, it's going to feel like the whole Korean barbecue experience in one bite.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everything in one bite. And then when they come together, the lime juice and the soy sauce, it's going to be like the ultimate collab, and it's just going to. So all these things were like going through my head, and then I put it together. And then it was like around this time in the afternoon. We were in Koreatown in an apartment. It was about five of us. I made the first like prototype. We all just ate it. It would have been just like us four right here, right?
Yeah.
And we all ate it, and we were just like, what the? We were possessed, and it was from there. We just couldn't stop. We just went out. It was like selling mixtape. We just went out, did it. Went out and we were just so convinced, we had no idea what was to come, but we were just so convinced. That's when something's right? Like where you don't, whatever age, it's not just youth, it's whatever age you are. And youth is, you have more of it, but it's just where you don't even think twice. You know what I'm saying? Like you just do it. And that was Kogi. And so the whole taco was, it's exactly as it was from the first moment. But what I think is so beautiful about the Kogi taco is that in food as a chef and when you run restaurants and make recipes, a lot of the times you're always tweaking and evolving or enhancing recipes, or sometimes recipes become old and dead and you throw them away, but there are certain recipes that are timeless that always taste like a Caesar salad, right? Or a pepperoni pizza. What I mean? Like there's things that are timeless, and the Kogi taco, I know that it was like meant to be because it's timeless. Like we're 13 and a half years in right now, and every time I eat it, like I want to do something where I want to reinvent Kogi, because as an artist, you always want to kind of like make things progress sometimes, right? So, and all my other restaurants and stuff, like I'll go in and we'll tweak the menu. We'll be seasonal. We'll take old items and relook at them and remix them and remaster them and, put them back out. But with Kogi, every time I eat the taco, it tastes brand new. It tastes like it did in 2008. It's crazy.
Man, when you talk about the making of the Kogi taco,
yeah,
it's like poetry, man.
Oh,
like I'm over here like really enjoying just you talking about it.
Yeah, man, it changed my life. Changed a lot of people's lives,
How many trucks at one point, the most that you've had on the street? How many trucks have you had?
The most trucks we had, we reached 5 trucks. We're a small company. The brand or the idea of Kogi is big. It's worldwide, but we're just a small company. There was something along the lines with Kogi. Again, we didn't become so spiritual with it from the start. We were just trying to make money.
Yeah.
Trying to serve this food. We had something hot. We were just trying to flip it. You know what I mean? But something about Kogi and the experience of going out and, thousands of our fans like coming out to every stop, every tweet, it changed us, it changed me.
Yeah.
And it just made things a lot more, again, spiritual. And along the way, whenever I hope you all have the experience to crack something that becomes like a phenomenon, because it's like a river, it's really amazing. But what comes with that is a lot of bees to honey, a lot of investors, business people, people wanting to invest in you or buy you out, or all these things, right? You get a lot of offers. And I don't know, somewhere along the way, probably in the second, third, or fourth year, every offer, every growth thing just never felt right. It never felt right to sell out, and we just kept it for ourselves, like I think that Kogi could have had the opportunity to be like a huge worldwide brand now with 1,000 stores around the world, and I don't even touch it anymore, and it's like been sold 4 times over and all that stuff. But I don't know, that it just wasn't that thing. Sometimes not everything in life is for sale, you know what I'm saying, and sometimes you got to keep things independent, and so Kogi is independent. It's independently funded. It allows us to do anything we want, and allows us to continue to be honest with our followers. And it's a family business, and so, yeah, it's great, man. So anyways, the question was how big. So we grew to 5 trucks, and we were like, man, this is too much. So we went back down to 3, and now we got 4 trucks.
Nice.
Yeah.
It just feels like you guys have more trucks because
we were just trying to meet demand. The way Kogi grew was like, we started going out to the South Bay. We started going out to like Long Beach area, the Valley,
Yep.
Here in downtown, and everything, and all San Gabriel Valley, Orange County. And all of a sudden, we just started growing. So it was really the way that Kogi grew was it was growing neighborhood by neighborhood. So the trucks started to represent each growth pattern of the love we were getting, from Southern California. Thank you very much. It was anyone who experienced or had been through that era from 2009 to about 2015, if you were part of it, if you waited in line, all the growth was trying to meet that demand, but we just decided that quality over quantity is better, and we just got it back sometimes. And this is something, if you're going through any growth patterns in life, again, I just want to tell you that sometimes scale and growth and all those things aren't the only answer. Sometimes it's okay to take a step back. I believe in the philosophy of sometimes you take a step back to take 2 steps forward. Sometimes, again, quality over quantity means more. And not all the time, but sometimes,
No, I love that. And that is such a special thing to hear, and refreshing too, because we have a media company here, Hubwav. We've had offers, and I've decided to keep it, us, our team, and because it's special. There's a soul about it, that's
and there may be offers down the road,
right,
when you're ready,
right,
and when Hubwav's ready, but don't sell yourself short when you're not ready, when you're still growing and building, because if you sell it too early, all that growth, all that beautiful poetry and growth, you won't have it anymore, because you're answering to investors. And the only thing that matters is, number one, is profit and loss, income statement. When that becomes the case, then the art is gone, and
the fun
is gone. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I love how you have Kogi tatted on you, right? Somewhere.
Oh yeah, this tattoo actually came from it came from the early days of Kogi. We used to go to a lot of tattoo parlors, We park in front. Again, the early days of Kogi, our food was a representation of our audience. You know, like we were at bars, tattoo parlors. We were middle of the night. You know, like we were with the homies, man. We were with the culture. You know, barbershops.
Yep.
You know, things like that. So, anyways, we were parked out in front of a tattoo studio, and I decided to do like a like it was like our first promotional campaign. And what we did was we gave away 3 free tattoos, and I would get one too, to anyone in line that wanted a permanent Kogi tattoo.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
there are 3 people out there that have permanent Kogi tattoos.
That's amazing.
From that night. Yeah. If you are out there and you hear this,
shoot
I love
him a
you,
DM.
man. Yeah, shoot me a DM, man.
That's so dope. That's brotherhood right
Yeah.
there for life. Yeah, I remember, man, the first time I tried Kogi must have been like at Bigsby Knolls, maybe.
Yeah, in Long Beach.
Yeah. And then the Valley a few times. I'll tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I see a Kogi truck till this day, I'm stopping.
Oh yeah.
I'm stopping. Have you had Kogi yet, Fred? Cal State LA.
Cal State LA.
Fred's
Yeah.
from Texas, and he came out here for college and just decided to stay.
I remember
in LA.
that era. Yeah, we used to go to Cal State LA like every week for it was a couple of years, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good.
I graduated in 2016, so
Yeah.
it was like from 2014 to 2016.
Yep. 2015. I was thinking those exact same years. Yeah.
20. You said from 2013
I went to Casa LA from 2014.
to 2014 to 2016. That's when the trucks were out there, man.
Yeah, we're still at Cal State Long Beach right now. Every Friday night. That's a great stop. We park right in front of the pyramid at Cal State Long Beach. I mean, shout out to Long Beach, man. Long Beach, Carson, Torrance, Gardena. They've been loyal Kogi fans since day one.
There's a spot that you had at one point at LAX. Is it still in there?
Yeah, we had a Kogi truck in the American Airlines terminal at LAX for 1 year. It was like a 1 year contract, and then we were gonna see if we wanted to renew it. It was cool. It was cool. All love to the airport, but it was a lot. It's a lot. It was a lot for me to get in every time to check on it, and Kogi's all about speed.
Yeah.
Smiles and extra love. Like that's what Kogi's about. It's like we bend over backwards with huge smiles, giggles and laughter, and just outpouring of love, and we're just so happy to see you when you come to the truck.
Yep.
Right? That's Kogi. And then our food is fast. As soon as you order it, like by the time you pay, the food's coming out the other end, and it's just that feeling, And at the airport, it wasn't really that.
It wasn't the vibe. It wasn't
the vibe.
It wasn't that energy.
And I remember a lot of, and that wasn't really the fault of the employees or anything at the airport. They weren't our staff. It was the staff of the airport. But it was just like it was the huge system that it was in. Airports are aggro to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone's pissed off to begin with at the airport.
Yeah.
And it's just this weird
it's a different culture.
Different culture
in
vibe
an airport
and
for sure.
But again, it's just the nervousness and the stress of being at the airport. Everyone's in a hurry. It's like traffic on the freeway. Everyone's in that mode. And no one's doing it on purpose. It's just everyone's in that mode, and Kogi's a little more chill than that, and it just wasn't right for us.
I like the design that you went with.
Yeah, it was cool, right?
Like
it was a real truck.
The storefront of it was a Kogi truck.
Yeah, it was a real truck. It was a whole truck. We built the whole thing. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. There was just no engine in it.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
I remember
the engine was an ice chest for the sodas and waters.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what, Roy? You grew up in Los Angeles.
Yeah. I grew up in LA and OC, actually. I grew up in LA the first half of my life, and I went to high school in OC, and then I came back to LA.
Yeah, let's talk about the OC. So tell me about Silver Garden.
Yeah, Silver Garden was my family restaurant. It was in Anaheim. And you know, like for a lot of especially Asian immigrants, but I think any immigrant family, food is kind of the first pathway to entrepreneurship. You know, it's in many ways one of the only ways you can actually be your own boss. You know, a lot of people end up going into food, especially ones where English is not their first language, because it's something that you can do, you can share with people, and that you can do without like kind of any training.
Universal.
It's universal, and you can bring something from how you grew up, and you can figure it out and cook it. You know, and it's also a place where you can go into like mini malls. It can be pretty cheap to go in, and it's not like running sometimes like a liquor store or a bar. You could bring your family in, you know, and like it becomes like a hub, like this Hubway. It becomes a hub. So like it was a place really where like a lot of immigrant families could make it their hub, where the kids could come there after school. The kids can help. They can be there all day.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, so I was that fat kid in every Asian restaurant you see, and there's like a little TV right there, and there's a bunch of little kids running around. Whatever pho spot you go to, or Chinese spot you go to, Korean spot you go to, and if you see a bunch of little kids running around, you know, and they got a little TV tucked in the corner, that was me. That was me.
What would you say you learned growing up in a restaurant?
I saw the beauty and the tragedies of running a restaurant. You know, the beauties of like just a full room, people having fun, you know, barbecue, smoking, the smells, people drinking, having a great time, you know, and I've seen where the restaurants are empty, you know, for weeks, and your parents crying and bills piling up and lights being shut off, you know, things like that, you know. So it made me aware of things from a very young age, you know. I also witnessed hospitality in its first form of like welcoming people, you know, and, you know, serving people, you know, and going out of your way, and not just being mean and a tough, you know, being mean and tough on the outside. Because sometimes, especially here in America, being kind to someone and extending yourself and taking care of someone, sometimes we encourage people not to be that way. You know, it's like you're weaker if you're like, if I bring you a cup of water, it's like there's something psychological that we're brought up like, oh, like, you know, now, you know, like Mando's like above me, you know, and that's not the case, you know.
Yeah.
Hospitality and service and taking care of each other, you know, that's what we are as species, as human species, to care for each other, you know. So I learned that from a very early stage. I learned how to work, clean, you know, prep, make dumplings, fold chopstick, you know, like those chopstick wrappers you get on your thing when you sit down. They don't just happen. Like someone's folding that, you know, like, so, you know, that all that stuff. Other things, soda machines, you know, like I was enamored by soda machines. I had when you're a kid, you have full access to a soda machine, you know, with like 9 guns. Man, that that was great.
Do like a little remix of like different
remixes all
what
day.
What does Coke and raspberry iced tea taste like?
All day. And what was the other thing? Being a young kid, I was also exposed to like just like waitresses. You know, like 19-year-old, 20-year-old waitresses.
Yeah.
You know, that would like, you know,
they say
that would be real cool to me, you know, and like me as a young kid, like just, yeah, man, it was cool, man.
In Spanish, we say echarte un taco de ojo. Have you
Uh-huh.
heard that?
Nah.
Taco de ojo. So a taco
Uh-huh.
de ojo.
Yeah.
So that's when you're like eyeing someone, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
oh, like if you see someone that's attractive,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, aquí, I'm having a taco de ojo.
But when you're a young kid, when you're like 9, 10, 11, and they're like 19, 20, you're like a cute little kid. But but you're already, as a man, you're already like, you want to get with them, like as a boy, you want to get with them. But what's cool is obviously you're not going to get with them. But what's cool in that moment, to them, you're just a little boy. So they give you hugs, and all
like,
that.
yeah.
So that was fun being in a restaurant, just being around that young energy and,
Yeah.
being the cute kid, and getting the hugs and your cheeks squeezed and all that stuff.
Yeah, that
was
seems
fun.
like it was a big part of your life, man. I mean,
Yeah.
something that you carry up until today, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's a part of my other
family.
identity. That my nickname is Poppy, so that was like Lil Poppy, coming
Lil
up.
Poppy.
Yeah, that was Lil Poppy. Yeah.
I was reading somewhere that they call you Guapo too.
Oh yeah, that was on the truck lot when I first started.
This is some good nicknames to have, man.
Yeah.
Papi and Guapo.
I know, Papi and Guapo. Because when we first started on the truck lot, again, you got to think of like the lonchera and taquero lots here in Los Angeles. Like since the 70s, they never seen any Asian person walk on the lot. This is a strictly Latino culture here in Los Angeles, and just like, with my days, low riding, they accepted us and me with open arms, but the first days that I started walking on the lot, they're just like, who the is this guy? Like what's going on here? And then we come back in the middle of the night, just like, it would be like a Cheech and Chong van coming back because it was just like with all the energy of like, serving thousands of people, on the streets. And everyone on the lot could feel that, they could feel that vibration, and in the lonchera lots, it's like 80% women, that are serving and prepping the trucks,
Yeah.
And so when I would walk through the lot, they just start calling me Guapo,
Hey, Guapo.
So that stuck for a while until it became Papi.
Nice. So it was Papi first and then Guapo.
No, it was Guapo first and then Papi, and I got
Nice.
both. I had other nicknames when I was younger, but those two nicknames came from the beginning of Kogi.
Nice.
And they came from the loncheras and the señoras that worked in the truck lots.
Oh,
you know?
nice.
Yeah, so it was given to me from the truck lots.
What about the Latino community do you think you connect with the most?
I think outside of food, I think for sure, the sense of humor. Yeah, I've been bagging and talking and telling jokes, with friends my whole life, So I think it's the sense of humor. It's the jokes, the way, the not taking life so seriously all the time, and just the moment, the little in between moments of just being able to like just bust on each other and stuff like that. I think that's the thing I relate to the most. In between taking a break in between work shifts or whatever, and sitting down on milk crates and just like eating and just laughing and talking to each other and having fun and just being in the moment. I think for me that's the thing I relate to the most.
What?
Because a lot of Asian people sometimes don't do that, man. They're a little more reserved.
Yeah.
And so I think it's that I relate to.
Yeah.
Sense of humor.
I remember when I first connected with you, right off the bat, there was, a lot of different culinary chefs, in the venue. And when I connected with you, it was just different, man.
Oh, good.
It was just like, chill. I think I was like, yeah, would love to,
Yeah.
connect sometime. And you're like, Hell yeah.
Yeah. It
Hell
just
yeah,
took
man.
10 years though.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
It only took 10
Yeah,
years,
it only
but
took-
we made it happen. But it was
But you know, that's how it is. You know, the reason why I think what you're touching on, you know, and it's not. I'm not the only person that is that way, but every cook is that way. You know what I mean? Like we all just a bunch of knuckleheads back there just having fun. You know, trying to cook good food. But something happens sometimes when certain cooks become chefs. You know, all of a sudden they sometimes feel like they become something important, or they have to be proper, or their doesn't stink, or you know they're not the you know they're not themselves anymore, or whatever. They have to be. They're better,
Yeah,
you know, or they
yeah.
got to be this or that. I don't know. I just never. I just never. One, I don't know how to be that, and then the other is I just thought, well, you know, why abandon what got you there to endear yourself to a whole world that you were never a part of, you know? Because a lot of people who are in the kitchen, really, we come from nothing, you know. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in the kitchen, you know. And so then once you ascend to become a chef, that takes you into the upper crust of the world. Then you're starting to party with people in the Hamptons and, you know, Beverly Hills and this and that, right? And then you feel like you have to become someone, you know, that you never were or whatever. You got to fit in and you got to do this. And so, and not just that, but a lot of chefs want that, you know, they want the wealth and the prosperity and the golf club memberships and all those things. And, you know, more power to them for that. But sometimes they don't keep it real.
with social media being, you know, huge. It's part of our daily lifestyle. There have been new social media viral chefs
Oh yeah.
that have come up. What do you think about that culture?
For me, it's all love. I love the way things are always progressing. Again, going back to earlier how we were talking, like I want food to be culture. You know, 20 years ago, there was no foodie. There was no, you know, it wasn't sneakers. You know, it wasn't like that, right? So now that it is like that, where every TikTok video is a cooking video, is a viral food moment. The thing through the pandemic were two viral food moments were the biggest moments, right? I think one was the Dalgona coffee and the other one was the feta cheese bake thing. And there's another one. But, you know, like these things and, you know, all the night markets and, you know, especially like the younger TikTokers and the younger influencers, like really getting into food and, you know, and all the cooking videos and stuff like that. I think it's great. I think that any way that food continues to push culture and continues to get younger is a good thing. But sometimes very similar, like music or art or now NFTs or whatever it is,
Yeah.
it starts to become the same, you know, and people start to follow trends and so it's becoming a little bit kind of saturated now. But I'm not going to stop anyone from trying their own thing or getting their own bag or whatever. But I think it's getting a little saturated now, where all the cooking videos look the same. It's like slice, chop, you know, different cut shots and all that stuff, you know, and like all that. But other than that, I'm cool with it all, man. I you know, more power to y'all. I got nothing but love for this next generation of food influencers. And if you ever want an old man like me on with you, I'm here with you. You know, just hit me up.
There's someone that we had on the show recently who I think, in my opinion, you know, does such a awesome job of sharing her culture. You talk about like, you know, food having soul.
Yeah.
And making it
who was
fun. Jenny Martinez.
Okay. Yeah.
On Instagram, she's Happy Bellies Jenny. And on TikTok, she's Jenny Martinez.
Okay.
With 2 3 Z's. And yeah, Jenny Martinez is awesome. She went viral with the queso taco.
Yeah.
It was like a birria kind of quesadilla thing, and you know, I think it's awesome when people they use their they take in their culture, not use their culture. They take in their culture and do something awesome.
I love
with
it, man. I love, because food has never been that fresh. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I love that it's so fresh right now. You know, that's what the influencers and the young artists and the young, you know, entrepreneurs are choosing to use as their expression.
Yep.
You know, and you know, I just love it. I just love it. They're doing things that I can't do, and then eventually, as they grow, maybe our worlds could collide where I can do things that maybe they haven't reached yet. You know, and I can contribute or collaborate or even share knowledge. You know, that's why I did like the masterclass thing. Really, it wasn't for myself. It was like, listen, I have a lifetime of knowledge. There's got to be a point where I got to give this to the world. You know, doesn't do anyone any good if I just die with it all. And so that's why, you know, I wanted to do the masterclass. You know, like my friends, you may know them, the Beat Junkies. You know, that's why they opened the school, right? To like,
Teach.
you know, to teach this art form that is dying. You know, scratching and beat juggling and mixing and all these things. Like before, in the old days, it was competition, right? It was like not sharing the knowledge because I want to beat you. But now, as you grow and you've developed the knowledge, you know, it's important to share that so the next generation can take it, remix it, and make it better. You know, and that's how I am with food, and that's how, you know, the Beat Junkies are with DJing.
Yeah,
and,
shout
you
out
know,
to the Beat Junkies.
Shout out
man.
to the Beat Junkies. Shout out to Babu, Chalk, J Rock, Retmatic,
I love Chalk.
Melody, everyone. You know.
Yeah, man. No, they're awesome. And during the pandemic, they all had like their own Twitch channels and they were DJing. That was amazing to see. I know some still get on Twitch.
Are the Twitch DJs still around? Is that still
There's-
going on? I remember
yeah.
that was huge in the pandemic.
Yeah.
Still going on?
A few DJs still are
Okay.
still on, and I think it's a beautiful thing. I think the art of DJing definitely blew up
Yeah.
during the
It was
pandemic.
food and DJing. Yeah.
Food and DJing.
It was
'cause
food and DJing,
We're all home, right?
Yeah.
Food and DJing, and it was cool to see the
Yeah,
art.
the biggest example of that was D Nice, obviously.
D Nice blew up even
Yeah.
more so during
You
the
know,
on Instagram.
But obviously that culture, and he was the head of it, and that thing it just blew up, and food as well with that, you know, and it's so great.
I know
So
a
great
lot of
to see.
people fell in love with their craft a little more during the pandemic because they started to go back to the roots. You know, as someone who DJs, there's if you're at a club, if you're at a radio station, there we have a playlist,
Yeah.
right? And it's like a menu.
Yep.
When we were home and we were on Twitch, we could play whatever we wanted, and we fell in love with it all over again.
Yeah.
Did you feel that way too at one point where you're like, I started, playing with different ingredients and started cooking different things than what's on the menu?
Definitely, you know, I think cooking wise, creatively, for sure. But I think for me, what happened and it's just my personal story, is that I felt more power and freedom in furthering like Kogi's and Broken Bread's like message of giving. So what happened deep during the pandemic, especially early, when everything shut down, everyone lost their jobs, restaurants were closing, Kogi itself was on the verge of closing. We went back to who we were originally, the roots of giving food away, of taking care of people, of driving as far as we need to make sure people are fed. And so it, sometimes you're not fortunate in life to where when you work in something for over a decade and you reach certain heights, it would be like, it would be, I don't know how to even, it would be like Jay-Z going back down to like a battle rap cipher, or something. You know what I mean? Like going back all the way to the root, And for us, it was like, for me, it was like that. I got to go back to the root and just go back to being on the truck, going to the neighborhoods, tweeting something out and feeding people for free, and it was like the old lines again. And it was just, but it was new. And it just was like, it was great, man. It was like this, for me, it was a spiritual creativity of like giving again in a new form of it. It wasn't like rehashing the old way in 2008 or 2009. It was 2020. And I was still at it, you know what I mean? And I was still strong enough and clear-minded enough to be in it, and give myself and give ourselves up enough to go back to the love of it, as you say, and the root.
Yeah. So Roy,
there's a lot of artists who make it sometimes or whatever. I'm not saying I made it. That's I'm gonna put that on record. But I'm just saying that
you've made it, Roy.
No, but a lot of artists that make it, they don't go back to the root. Sometimes because and it may not be their fault. Like they got handlers, publicists, this, that.
Yeah.
They got a lot to protect. They got a lot on the line. They got contracts. They got endorsements. They got this and that, right? But sometimes they just can't go back. They don't know the road back. They've lived so far and for so long, in robes and penthouses, that is, you don't even know the road back. And so for me, it was really nice that I still knew the road back. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel like you're constantly grounded.
Yeah, that's a big part of what I believe in.
Among all the big projects and amazing things that you do, Roy, is that you're always grounded. And the culture of the taco truck, the culture of food, the roots of it all. I feel like you're very
I just
connected
try to
that.
never forget, and I just try to always be grounded, and I just acknowledge the fortunate ability to be able to walk in both worlds.
Yeah.
Like I could be courtside, but I could also be in the parking lot at the same time.
Man.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's just a part of who I am. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody, and especially maybe for some that can be courtside, they don't want to be kicking it in the parking lot,
Right.
Grilling something or passing a doobie left to right. I mean, they're just not about that anymore. But for me, that's just who I am. I could just flow from one end to the other. It is who I am, and it's not just something that I do for show. It's just naturally who I connect with and I relate to.
Yeah, it's who you are.
It's who I am.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Broken bread.
Yeah.
It's something that I know is very special to you. For those that aren't familiar with Broken Bread, what can you tell us about it?
Well, it's my first TV show. I have the chef show as well. They both kind of came out at the same time, but Broken Bread was the first one. It's the first individual show. The chef show is, I am collaborating with Jon Favreau,
Like a
and I'm
co-host.
really following John's lead on that. He's the master on that, and I'm his sous chef, and I'm there to make sure that I can support the show and John and the message as much as I can. Broken Bread was a space where I could be the host and figure out, and the producer, and figure out what I wanted to say individually. And so naturally it became about the things that I represent, which is bringing change to the neighborhood, fighting for what's right, being an activist, and caring about the people and not ever forgetting where you're from, And so the show is not about me. I'm the host, bringing you along as a viewer to introduce you to all the people doing great stuff.
Yeah.
And what we do, the concept of the show is that we identify a problem, whatever that problem is, In season 1, it was things like the criminalization of people of color in the marijuana industry, you know, and the what's the word, the dichotomy or and how weed and cannabis right now is so popular, and people that are doing certain things now that a lot of people of color were put into jail for 25 years
incarcerated for, right.
incarcerated for. So then we're looking at issues like that. We're looking at, in this season, we're looking at, again, the seed preservation. We're looking at gentrification, the lack of produce in supermarkets within the hood, and so first thing we do is identify the problem, but instead of getting political and being depressing and being too heavy about it, we're like, okay, let's take the angle of, let's find inspiration. The problem, we all know the problem, but instead of like harping on it, let's find people that are on the ground saying, I'm not going to waste my energy on arguing about the problem. The problem exists at my doorstep. I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah.
And it can be small or big. In season 1, it can start at the point with like Supermarket and Olympia set of delivering just 5 boxes of organic produce, because that's what she's possessed and believes in, and then that grows into, now she's opening the first organic produce store on Crenshaw, probably delivering hundreds of boxes, and she's just blowing up, and so it's really documenting people from the beginning of their journey, but also people that are bigger and made it as well. But yeah, that's what Broken Bread's about. It's about, I call it like good people doing great things against all odds, highlighting heroes that are fighting for these values that sometimes the world tells you are worthless. Paying people well, providing health care and insurance for back of the house workers, taking care of undocumented workers that have been forgotten through the pandemic. Yeah, those are the important things, man. And that's what Broken Bread's about. Another thing Broken Bread's about is about putting people that look like us on screen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Representation.
And that's not just something we're doing as like an agenda item. It's just naturally, by covering these stories that never get covered, you're already going to be in a position where the majority of the people that are going to be on screen are going to be people of color, because the communities that we cover and the issues and topics that we cover usually affect these neighborhoods, our neighborhoods, right? So it's really important for me to use whatever influence I have, whatever platform that I have, to make sure that I provide space for representation and for these voices to speak for themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that that's important, because in mainstream media or in primetime television or in scripted content or in streaming services, we don't really have a lot of shows that are written and performed and produced and directed by people of color.
Right.
That's straight up, by black people, Mexican people, Latinos, Koreans, Asians, Cambodians,
Yep.
whoever, and the way I look at it is, if I made it this far, it's my responsibility to make sure that I open the door enough so that others can come in, so that's all I'm trying to do, man. I'm just trying to pry open the back door of the movie theater, put like a little shoe right there,
Yeah.
let everyone in, and that's really what it's all about.
I think it's a beautiful thing, man, because representation is so important in media, in entertainment, in the culinary world.
It is, because a lot of times the stories aren't written, again, from the inside out, and we're still in a role, especially for a lot of Asian people in entertainment. A lot of, even up until now, a lot of people don't even understand or know anything about Asian people, because the storytelling and the stories and the content out there are usually kind of tokenized characters that are written by people
Stereotypical.
that aren't Asian.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think it's important as we continue to grow into the next, especially with this younger generation now. It's important to have this representation, you know, and that's what's so beautiful about social media now, whether it's TikTok or whatever form, YouTube or whatever form it is, gaming, you know, streaming, Twitch, all that, is that it's truly just the real people doing it, you know,
Yeah.
and if you just let that naturally happen, you're going to see the diversity and you're going to see the humor, you know, and that's what I want to be the bridge for in this more mainstream level of content, what into television, into movies, into streaming services like, you know, Netflix and Hulu and all that, you know, into public television, is that we just have more real representation of what life is really like, so that people can start to see each other as full human beings versus living off of stereotypes of who they think we are. You know, that's where a lot of the Asian hate came from during the pandemic, because a lot of people don't know anything about Asian people, you know, nothing, you know, and they only have this perception of who we are, and that we're sometimes subhuman or whatever, you know, because we don't speak, a lot of our elders don't speak English,
Right.
you know, and so it's, you know, a lot of the violence came from that we weren't even human beings in many ways, you know, but that's all reinforced again by the lack of storytelling, the lack of characters,
Knowledge.
the knowledge, the characters that they do see are like, again, reinforcing that stereotype, you know, like, and so, yeah, that's what it's all about, man. And so, but Broken Bread is about social issues that revolve around food.
And
and
you're
people doing
you're
something.
everywhere with it, man. I like all across, you know, the states and the world. You went to Tijuana too.
Yeah, well, we're trying to grow the show. You know, the show started, first season was very regional, just here in Los Angeles. This season we're going all up and down the state and Tijuana. That was our attempt to see, can this show become international, you know? And I think it can. You know, it's really great. Tijuana blew my mind, man. I love you, Tijuana. You know, it's like I hadn't been there in a long time, almost 20 years. I hadn't gone back to Tijuana. And this time going back, it was very special. I spent a week there, and it was special because obviously going as a TV show, you have people that live there that show you around and they take you to the spots you would never get to as a tourist or whatever. And you get to know everyone on a real basis, you know, versus just transactional. And that was really special, man. I loved it down there. Like, all I want to do is go back, and all I want to do is buy a home in Las Playas in Tijuana and just cook shrimp on a grill and drink cerveza and just chill, man. That's all I want to do. It's so good down there.
When you have that house in Las Playas, you're turning your shrimp kebabs.
Yeah.
You're retired. What would you like for your legacy to be?
I already know I'm working towards that now, because I am, you know, a little bit older now, and I have to confront, you know, what I want to leave this world with. You know, like I'm a grown ass adult, man. You know, and it took me a long time to grow up. Like, what I'm saying right now is I'm literally confronting growing up at this moment on this podcast. You know, I've tried to stay like a kid my whole life, but I'm trying to grow up. You know, I'm trying to be a real adult, and but in my own way. And so what I'm trying to do is build a foundation, a charity, you know, the Papi Foundation, the Guapo Roy Choi Foundation, that provides scholarships, food learning, maybe even a center where I can educate and create a cooking school, that gives that generates income to provide opportunities and investment into the neighborhoods. So my dream, if you're asking me to dream, I can dream as big as I want.
As
right
big
here.
as you want.
I want my name to be like those Geffen buildings, that you see around LA,
Yep.
whatever. Or Omninson. I can't even say the name. Omninson building, like I want 100 years from now, people don't even need to know who I am, but I want those buildings and those centers and those foundations to represent taking care of people that society has abandoned, the kids in the neighborhoods that are stripped of a lot of opportunities and access to eating, growth, jobs, education, advancement. And I want my foundation to be one of many, hopefully, but for it to be a cornerstone into providing futures and pathways throughout South Central Los Angeles and Watts, Compton, Inglewood, Koreatown, Boyle Heights, East LA, on and on. So that's where it all focuses for me in the next 30 to 40 years. I want to build that shit to be the Geffen level type stuff.
I love that. The Guapo Foundation.
The Guapo Foundation, school, learning center, scholarships, all that.
The Poppy Building.
The Poppy Building, yeah.
Yeah.
Poppy Towers,
I love that, man. One thing that
we call it the Poppy Pipeline. It would be like a pipeline into success. I want to bring prosperity and success to the neighborhoods, and then that would grow. That would mushroom not only in Los Angeles, but that would mushroom and grow into, every city, every inner city, St. Louis, South Chicago, the Bronx, Houston, North Miami, on and on.
That's beautiful.
ATL, everything. And it would just mushroom and take care, just like the show, Broken Man, just take care of people. It would take care of us.
Yep.
And that's what I want to do. Right now I'm doing it on a restaurant and television content level. The dream is to move it to a more tangible level that is actually something people can put their hands on, say, I'm a graduate from this program, and that person then influences, another 1,000 or 10,000 people or whatever, so that's the dream.
That's beautiful,
Yeah.
man. You and I have something in common. We have volunteered at a place called Home. I know you've taught cooking. I've taught DJing.
Okay.
To the students, to the kids there. And
shout out to a place called Home.
Yeah, shout out to a place called Home. The team too. We've been down there a few times. It's always such a beautiful and refreshing thing to do. We've been down during the year, during the holidays, when they bring down snow to their event space
so great,
so that the kids.
Do your listeners know what a place called Home is? One of the greatest charity foundation organizations here in Los Angeles.
In South
It's
Central,
amazing.
yeah.
South Central. It's like a safe after school home center that the kids that have nowhere to go, can go and be in a safe space where they can learn anything they're interested in, from the arts to sports to cooking to DJing,
music,
to
all
singing,
of that,
music, everything. And
they have a recording studio.
A recording studio, and a lot of great artists and influencers provide their time, like yourself.
Yeah.
And so these kids have access to do that, and that would be something I would love to have, connecting the dots. I would love to have my own a place called Home later on in life.
Yeah, I think it's amazing what they do there.
You know who used to also help a place called Home? Tupac.
Yeah. Well, I heard something about Dr. Dre and Pac. They gave money to I think the recording studio to start up the recording studio.
Yeah.
there, which is amazing
Yeah.
to hear, stories like that. Yeah, so they've that center has brought in snow down to South Central
Yeah.
so that the kids that have never been in snow can play in it. And I think that's such a beautiful thing, man. They actually that center inspired me to start my Fresco Foundation.
Oh, okay.
Fresco
Oh, so
Foundation.
you have a foundation.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
need to learn from you. I need to start. I'm about to start my 501c3 and
Yep.
get this whole process going.
Yep, yeah, anything, man.
Okay.
Yeah, please feel
What does
free
the
to reach
Fresco
out.
Foundation? What are you doing with that foundation?
Yeah, so we work with inner city kids.
Uh-huh.
It's a mentorship program.
Uh-huh.
We help everything from showing kids how to apply for a job, how to show up to an
Yeah.
interview, how to apply for college, and grants and get money,
Uh-huh.
scholarships,
Yeah.
things like that. We also like to the goal is to take the scholars, we call them, to take the scholars 18 to, so it's a little older, so it's actually 16 to 22.
Mm-hmm.
We feel like fresh out of high school, people don't really know what they want to do with their life.
Yeah.
It's a very confusing, time. So we want to get the youth
Mm-hmm.
at that point of their life and try to guide them to find something that they love. I found
Great.
I found radio when I was 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to strike that match, for the next generation
That's
as
great,
well.
man.
So yeah, man, yeah,
Mhm.
whatever you need, just feel
Okay.
free to hit me up, man. The Broken Bread intro, I was sharing it with the guys. You shoot, it's like clips from all over, and then you're in an alleyway.
It's right here.
It's right here.
Yeah. It's right here.
Literally,
Yeah.
right here. I paused it. I'm like, you guys see where Roy shot this? It's literally
Yeah.
not even a block away from here. It's like
Not even. It's like literally like
You just
the
walk
next
over.
building over. Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, I love Broken Bread. I love what you're doing with
Uh-huh.
with this next chapter in your life, man.
Thank you.
Aside-
And speaking of like the show and that title sequence, we're just trying to grow as artists. Like I'm trying to grow as a television producer and host, and we're just trying to make something that has like all the different textures and layers of cinematography, storytelling, and music. I don't know if you noticed the music in there, but all
Yeah.
the music, we're very pointed and purposeful with our music. And our composer is Dan the Automator, who's been involved with the Gorillaz and Deltron 3030 and Dr. Octagon. So there's this sound to the feel of the show that hopefully feels just it's just like slightly a little bit off center, but like in a
In a cool way.
hip hop type of way.
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. So is this your like production company now, Roy? Or you started?
I don't have a production company yet. I'm executive producer, but the studio is Tastemade and KCET.
Got it.
Public it's a collab between Public Television and Tastemade.
Yeah.
I'm growing. My next step is not only the foundation, but also possibly having my own production company. That will probably be the next move.
You're doing a great job with that, man.
Thank you.
I know you're gonna kill it with when you have that. So, at the very end of our show, we had rapid fire questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we're gonna do rapid fire with Roy Choi.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Now, quick answers, or if you want to go a little into it, you can.
Okay. Let's.
Favorite Spanish word?
Cabrón.
Cabrón.
Yeah.
That's what Fred calls. Is that Joaquin's nickname now? 3 years old. I feel like every time he's on the phone or every time we FaceTime, he's like, "Hey, cabrón."
Yeah.
Mate, cabrón. Favorite piece of tech that you use? Your phone.
That's it, man. That's all I use. Phone. Yeah.
What phone do you have?
I got old ass phone. I only like I got to a place in life. So this is the true hack in life, y'all. I just get it for free, man. I haven't bought it for like 8 years. So I just go with whoever's gonna give me something. I just use it. You know, this is a Samsung Note but the program I was on this program where they would just be flossing me with phones like every year. But they stopped like 3 years ago, so I haven't had a phone in 3 years. This is like a 3-year-old Samsung Note. Yeah.
Nice.
Shoes, these are free. Everything I'm wearing is free.
Nice.
Yeah, real bad man, undefeated. Yeah. So whoever's gonna drop something on my doorstep, I'm gonna wear it.
That's how it is, man. You know, once you have money, you hardly use the money because you get everything for free.
Yeah, that's it. That's the hack, yo.
That's the life hack right there.
That's the life hack. But yeah, phone. I do everything on this phone. This phone is dope because it's has the pen.
Oh, nice.
It's the whole thing works as like a little laptop all in one. And for me, I'm not someone that has like all this equipment like you have. I'm always on the move and like I'm driving and stuff. So it's like really, it really works for me to do everything from this, you know?
Nice.
So, yeah.
Favorite Korean food dish?
It's this dish called kimchi jjigae. And most Koreans are going to say that because it's like, it's like our chilaquiles or our frijoles or, whatever. It's like our it's like that main dish that you eat every single day.
Describe the dish.
It's kimchi stew. That's really what it is. But
stew.
It's taking like all the old kimchi. It's like a mole almost. It's like taking all the old kimchis, combining them together and cooking them really slowly into a soup, with all kinds of different vegetables and spices, tofu, and you can put meat in there, pork, and it's kind of like our menudo or pozole every weekend.
Okay.
It's kind of like that. It's that frequent that we eat it, and it's that good to where we seek it every weekend.
I gotta try that.
Yeah, kimchi jjigae.
I gotta definitely try that. Favorite Latino food dish?
I mean, it's gotta be tacos, right? But I would say a burrito. A burrito is my favorite thing to eat. There's just something stony about a burrito. Like I was talking about this yesterday with Dumbfounded. There's just something like really great about like peeling the foil down, holding it, biting into it, and then just the layers in it. And there's something beautiful about a burrito.
I think the mobility of it.
You
can walk with it.
You walk with it.
Tacos are tough to eat on the go.
You can put it in your pocket. You know what I mean? Like you can eat half of it, and you get half of it, and then eat half of it later. So yeah, the burrito is your friend.
The burrito is your friend.
It's your friend.
I love that. Best song to play at a party.
Whew. I'm not good at that. You tell me what's
your favorite song to play.
I don't throw parties. I have restaurants that have playlists.
In a car. What are you listening to? What's like you're driving, you had a long day. What are you throwing on?
For me personally, this is not for a party, but for me in the car, I always go back to Dilated Peoples.
Dilated Peoples.
Yeah, that's for me. That Dilated is just like a place where I can go to, where it just brings me back to center as far as like, my own party. I just love everything about and it just for me is, that's just what it is. Dilated. Yeah.
I love Dilated, by the way.
Yeah, and what's great is like what's happened to me in life is like all these artists that I used to be just a huge fan of, like I've become friends with. Like we were talking about Babu at the Beat Junkies and stuff. So it's been weird for me because like these, not just with Dilated, but other things like, when you're a fan, I was this whole thing with Kogi didn't come to me until later in life. So I had lived for like a certain amount of my life as just, just a quiet person in the ether, out here just doing my thing. So I was always a fan first on things. I'm a true fan. So you guys as fans out there of whoever you're a fan with, I understand what that thing is, to be a fan. And it's been weird because, this thing with Kogi changed my life, that I've broken the fourth wall with every single person I've been a fan with,
Yeah.
And you probably experienced that as a DJ or on LA Leakers or on the radio stations. Like it's tough sometimes because like you sometimes want that space. You don't want to meet your heroes,
your idols,
your idols, and it's been weird for me, but yeah, dilated.
Greatest rapper of all time.
Greatest rapper of all time. Lyrically, it's Kogi Rap and Rakim for sure. I could stay there.
What's the nickname aside from Papi and Guapo that no one really knows about?
I was never really good at having nicknames throughout my life. That's why I've held on to Papi and Guapo. What people call him? I mean, like, people used to just call me Roy Boy, and so yeah, my nickname was always like Roy Boy.
Roy Boy?
Yeah, Roy Boy.
Roy Boy.
Yeah.
Well,
And
Roy
then,
Boy.
and then Chino, stuff like that. Every Asian that hangs out in the hood, you call Chino.
Yeah. Roy Boy, I appreciate you being here, man.
Thank you.
My brother, this is your house. Anytime. I'll give you a key. You can walk in, walk
Okay.
out whenever you want.
Thank you.
Congrats on Broken Bread
Mhm.
and the successes of all your projects, man, that you've had in recent time and the ones to come, man. I appreciate you.
I appreciate this being here, man, and I hope your listeners and your viewers really check out Broken Bread. This is a show about us. It's about it's about the culture. It's about the neighborhoods. It's about all of that this all comes from, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised as you watch it. You're gonna see faces that feel like your own circle, your own inner circle. So, and the only thing I want to leave with is that the more that you support programming like this, the more that we can make programming like this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Supply and demand. If right now, if there is no demand for content that centers around issues that affect our neighborhoods, then they're not going to make that content. You know what I mean? So we got to support it. So that's all.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Roy Choi.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for watching Mando and Friends, presented by Verizon.